we looked at filters, which helped us to get a snapshot. However, filters that we create are more temporary in nature. But if you want to create a slice and dice of a data more on a permanent basis, which you can then refresh if you need as data changes, you can rely on pivot tables. For the pivot table example, we take the same data set that we had used for the filters. So what you see here is a familiar data set. To create a pivot table, we have to go to Insert right here at the top, and under Tables the first option says Pivot Table. So if I select that, it shows me a screen where it says select the table or the range, the underlying data. Here I choose this as my underlying data. Next it says where to create the pivot table. You can either create in the same sheet, or I prefer to move it to a new sheet, and I say OK. So a new sheet is created and the pivot table is shown there. This is your pivot table right now. So as long as your cursor is inside the pivot table, you will see on the right hand side this panel. If you click outside, this panel goes off. If you want to see the panel again, click inside and you will see the panel. Now if you see the panel carefully, these are the fields that you can add to the report, and these are the 4 main sections that you can put the various fields into. 1, the column, something on the row, then the set of values, what you want to see the snapshot of summed up in a particular way, and then a filter is also available. So let's say on my column I want to put the city, so I'll put all the cities in the column, and in my column, as my column label, I put my turnover, or rather sorry, I move 2 values. So I say sum of turnover. So I'm getting sum of turnovers here. So this table tells me in Ahmedabad the total turnover was so much, in Bangalore it was so much, and so on, and then gives me the grand total, which is the total turnover. I also move units sold here. Tells me units sold. Now I want to create one more level. I want to say that even within each city, this total which I see here, or this sum of units sold, is across all years. I want to see a further breakup, that in Ahmedabad across the years how much was the turnover and the units sold. So I can drag year and take it down all the way till here. I drop it here. The moment I drop it here, you see the table gets updated. So now you have within Ahmedabad, only in 1994 you had some sales happening, turnover happening, so you could see that. Again in Bangalore it is only 1995. Chandigarh had both 94 and 95. Again Kolkata only had 95, Chennai only had 95, Kolkata had 94, 95, and so on. Now you want to change the view. Instead of city first and then the year, you want to see first on the year, you want to see first the year breakup, and then within each year in which cities you had the turnovers happening. That's quite simple, just at a single flick. Go here, select the year and drag it above city. Change the order, put year first, city next, and you see this changes. So it first shows 94, under 94 only 3 cities are there, under 95 there are these many number of cities. As simple as that. Let's say now you want to change few things. You want to say take out the units sold, so you take it out, keep it back. Now you want, instead of year being here, you want to put year in the column. So now you see across cities, across each year, what was the turnover number. Now you want to further filter it based on the product. So you take item and put that in the report filter. So if you put that in the report filter, you'll see the filter which comes here. If you click here, you'll see all the items are selected. Now I say select only mobile phone. I click mobile, I say OK. Now the table that you see is showing me only for mobile phones across years and across cities. Unfortunately, in 1994 there were no mobiles sold. As a result, 1994 is not shown. If I now go here and I now choose answering machine, I say OK. I can see that in 94 and 95 both years answering machines were sold. That's why I can see them coming back again. Let's say I want to select two. I want to select multiple. Allow this and this. So for the multiple items of answering machine and telephones, I'm getting for each city across years what was the sales happening. So just by changing the placement of these variables in each section in the panel here, I can get a different slice and dice of my underlying data. And unlike my filters, the structure I create is fairly permanent. I can make a fairly permanent structure. So I can make the structure, and tomorrow if my data changes, I just need to go back to my base table. Let's say add my data here, and just I need to update my pivot table, which I can do. I go here. Moment I am clicked inside the table, you will see two additional options here, an option and a design. If you go to options, it gives in the option says change data source. So I can say change data source, and if I add any more data after this, I just need to ensure that that data is also selected. I can say OK, and my table will get updated. Further, if by mistake you close this out, let's say, so now you'll see if you click outside, anyways it goes off, and even if you come inside, this is not shown. And to get that back, go to options, under options, show and hide. If you just say show field list, the field list will be shown to you. In case by mistake you delete that. On similar lines like a pivot table, you can also create what we call as a pivot chart. So pivot chart is again a very flexible way of generating chart. Instead of the data being shown as a table, the same data is shown on charts. That's the only difference between a pivot table and a pivot chart. So as you can see, pivot table is another way of slicing, dicing data, and the structure is more permanent in nature as compared to a filter. So again, for large data sets where you want to create snapshots, pivot tables are extremely useful. Thank you.